Right now, Israel is on high alert as Iran fires back to a trio of American strikes. You're taking a live look from Tel Aviv, where people are sheltering in place at this hour. So far, 16 people are reportedly injured as Iranian missiles hit parts of Israel. President Donald Trump not mincing words about the United States coming to our allies' aid during this unprecedented time.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
President Donald Trump doubling down on Truth Social, saying, quote, any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanking the United States for getting involved.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history.
Well, Iran is firing back this morning with what the regime is calling one of its biggest ballistic missiles. A top Iranian diplomat issuing a warning saying, quote, the U.S. has itself launched a dangerous war against Iran. Israel now beginning new strikes in western Iran, announcing its warplanes are locking in on military targets inside the region. In just a few hours, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth set to give an update on the American strikes and how the United States plans to respond next. Well, good morning to you. I'm Anna Koyman here in our New York City newsroom. It is 4 a.m. here on the East Coast, and this is special coverage here on NewsNation. All right, Independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont getting a strong reaction from a crowd in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when he told them about the attacks on Iran's nuclear sites. All right, we are going to switch gears, and now we're going to bring in Guy Azriel. He's from i24NEWS. He is live for us on the ground there. You're a diplomatic correspondent. Tell us what you're seeing on the ground and what the feeling is there.
Hey, Anna, thank you very much for having me. So this morning, obviously, was in mixed reactions here in Israel. Obviously, a great satisfaction with the fact that we saw Trump, the U.S., joining in with Israel with these strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. But of course, that didn't come without a response from Iran. We saw some 35 missiles fired at Israel just this morning, sending, of course, millions to shelters, as we've seen throughout the past week since Israel started its preemptive strike against Iran's nuclear facilities. Some 23 Israelis injured. This morning, some heavy damage also caused to major buildings in Tel Aviv, in Haifa, and in another suburb of Tel Aviv this morning. But the bottom line for Israel really is the fact that it is not alone in this battle against Iran, targeting not just Iran's nuclear facilities, and that's what we saw from the U.S. overnight, but also Israel causing major damage to Iran's missile program, the one that has been hurting Israel throughout this past week. But I can remind our viewers that this war with Iran, even the direct war with Iran, did not start last Friday. It started with Iran firing hundreds of rockets and drones at Israel back in April and in October last year. Israel then retaliated, damaging some of Iran's missile defense systems. And that damage is what allowed Israel to conduct the strikes that we saw earlier last week. And eventually, those heavy bombing by the B-2s we see on the screen right now, causing some major damage to the Fordow nuclear facility in Iran.
And, you know, very much in the news has been whether President Trump would do this. Will he or won't he? Will he position himself alongside Israel from an offensive position rather than just defensive, and rather than just, you know, from an intelligence perspective? What's the feeling on the ground about that solidarity between the United States and Israel at this hour?
Yes, I think President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu were very smart in being able to hide their intentions as with the U.S. involvement in those strikes. That was true also when Israel launched the initial strikes on last weekend, and even over the past several days, perhaps catching the Iranians unprepared to those strikes. Obviously, great relief here in Israel with the fact that Israel doesn't have to deal with this threat by itself, an existential threat, we should say, as the latest IAEA report also indicated. Iran does not comply with what it is supposed to when it comes to its nuclear program, and Iran was racing for a bomb. Israel felt this was an existential threat. There was no other choice. President Trump gave Iran those 2 months of an ultimatum, had these talks and trying to reach an agreement with the Iranians. Obviously, the Iranian wasted that time, and eventually Trump did stand up to his promise. Perhaps the Ayatollah regime did not believe that would happen, but that was the reality. So a great sense of relief. And I have to say that here in Israel, across the political spectrum, complete backing for this move, both by Prime Minister Netanyahu, but even more so, of course, with the major achievement with the U.S. joining this strike, I think sends a very strong message across the Middle East to all of America's allies, and we can see some of the reactions both here in Israel, but not only, also in the UAE and Saudi, other allies of America these days, now knowing where America stands and what America's rivals should fear of.
All right. I think it's really important to point out that the threat is not over yet for folks in the Middle East, but also, of course, our troops that are there. We have tens of thousands of troops stationed in the region right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. 46,900 troops are there. And then if you take a look at how they are within striking distance of these Iranian missiles, if we can go ahead and put that up. And now if we can take a look at the naval assets that are in the region. So we currently have 11 destroyers that we know of and 1 aircraft carrier there as well. Talk about what our troops are going through in the United States. Here at home, worrying they may have to go as well, and worried about their brothers and sisters in uniform who are in the region.
Yeah, obviously the question of an Iranian retaliation against U.S. assets in the region is a major one. I think the message being sent by President Trump is very clear. We can end this very quickly once we're done with taking down the nuclear facilities, or should Iran, the Ayatollah regime in this case, of course, chooses to retaliate against American targets, then the price that the Iranians would pay would be heavy. And we should mention this as well. The Israeli strikes, as well as the American strike overnight, of course, targeted nuclear facilities, targeted ballistic missile program, targeted IRGC and besiege personnel, did not deliberately target civilians. This is not the target of Israel. I have to say that maybe to remind our viewers, Israel and Iran had very good, warm relations until the revolution in 1979. This is something that many Israelis are longing to see again, perhaps when we see an end to this regime. And we heard both Prime Minister Netanyahu and Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz and other officials hinting to the fact that they would be very happy to see a regime change in Iran following these strikes. But of course, that will need to come only from the people of Iran themselves. We've seen several cases in recent years of uprisings, attempts to topple this dictatorships in Iran with the Ayatollah regime. Obviously, these were met with very heavy violence by the Ayatollahs. There is hope that these strikes will now bring a change, perhaps some more support for those who are looking for a better future for the state of Iran.
All right, Guy Azriel, i24 News, diplomatic correspondent, live for us there in Israel. Please stay safe, and thank you so much for joining us here on NewsNation.
Thank you very much, Anna.
We're going to